This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novelli. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. Good morning to you.
Morgan.
Morning.
Special morning, special day.
Yes, in case you didn't catch this earlier, it is my birthday today. I've already opened gifts, which is exciting.
Yeah.
I included some headed notepaper I've been bought, which says at the top, "From the desk of Frank Skinner, MBE," which, I mean, who do I send? I think that'd be good maybe for querying a parking ticket.
Do you know what?
Just wonder if that would still have some sway.
A vague threat.
Yeah.
You'll regret this.
It's a very nice way of saying, do you know who I am?
I'm calling it passive-aggressive stationery, and I'm here for it.
I'm 66 today. I think the more things I get with my name on, the more helpful, just as an aide de memoire. It's not far from when I'm saying, do you know who I am? It'll be a genuine, heartfelt inquiry.
The slip from rhetoric to need.
Oh, what a thought. What a thought. Bold! Have you seen the advert where they've changed the words of gold?
They haven't.
You know, so it says like gold, not bold rather. You know, bold, the washing up. Bold, and it's got built-in Lenore. It's stuff like that. That might not be the actual words. But you know, it's got Lenore. You know the thing with bold, and I'm not advertising it because I don't know where our washing machine is.
No.
But
That showed you in a lovely light.
yes, but bold has a big thing on the front of it that says something like includes Lenore, and Lenore gets its own like low. I think, what? This is going to draw me in to my bold. Oh, hold on, look, contains Lenore. That's a bonus.
I'm so sick of mixing my own bold and Lenore
Yeah, exactly.
in a big bath in the garden.
Exactly. What
Ready-made bold Lenore cocktails.
Yeah.
Who knew?
In a tin.
I mean, I don't want to get something that hasn't got Lenore.
Lenore? Yeah, what? Lenore?
Bold! Plenty of Lenore. Anyway.
Lenore's quite a whimsical name for a
What is
detergent.
it? What is Lenore?
Fabric softener, isn't
And
it?
if you took, if they had,
Think about Lenore.
if there was a contractual disagreement, what would be missing from bold that Lenore brought to it?
It's a softener, isn't it?
Is it?
I think so.
The beauty of Lenore is its mystery.
Yes, you're probably right.
You don't want to start unravelling Lenore's mystery, trust me.
Okay, I'll leave it there.
I
You're
went down
probably
that
right.
road once.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I hate, when adverts cut song. You know, they have to cut songs, but you get really unsettling cuts.
But they don't resolve the...
So there's like a holiday one at the moment, and they use Tomorrow from Annie. It's one of my favourite musicals ever.
Oh, do they
And
do a
it
mashup?
sort of goes, the sun'll come out tomorrow. And you think, no, it doesn't happen there.
That's horrible.
There's no build.
That's not nice.
You've taken the grey and lonely out and cut straight to the sunshine.
They might have left Grey and Lonely, but they get way too early to the heartfelt tomorrow.
Yeah, when an advert has to be aggressively trimmed down for a small slot.
Guys, one of the worst ones was everybody, yeah, chicken satay. No, I'm not having that. Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, you've actually sold it accidentally quite well.
Does it come with Lenore?
That's one of the great years in song.
What?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I love ya. Didn't say I love you. Fabulous. Yes, that's the trouble. The orphanage has damaged her vocabulary forever. Oh, man.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We were just talking, I don't know how it happened, but we went from Aguilera. Christina Aguilera did a song about not being gorgeous, even though she was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then we went on
Beautiful.
to...
Beautiful.
Britney, Justin Timberlake. We went through the whole, in like whatever it was, 3 minutes, went through the whole Mickey Mouse Club dramatis personae. And
the Greek chorus.
did we ever get the Mickey Mouse Club? Not like we never got the one with Britney and all that over here, I don't think.
Not to my knowledge.
No. I'd like to see that now. I wouldn't you love to have been part of the Mickey Mouse Club? You know what my dream would have been? You work on the Mickey Mouse Club show, and then you phone in about your tax bills or something, and they say, right, occupation, and you say, I work for the Mickey Mouse Club, and they say, how you spelling that? And you say M-I-C-K. Be worth it just for that. So...
Well, you've had so many birthday greetings, Frank.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Ruth Jordan, one of our regulars.
Yes.
Happy birthday to Frank. And, of course, to St Thomas Aquinas. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did.
Thank you. I believe it's also Pierre's birthday this week, unless Wikipedia has its facts wrong, which I can't imagine ever happens.
It's Pierre's on the 31st, I believe.
It is next week.
So we're Aquarians.
We are apparently, yes.
Yes, I don't know if either of us. I don't know if either of us put much worth in it from the strength of that conversation exchange.
I think we were both sharing askance glances.
Yeah, but
What does it mean to be an Aquarian?
it means it's quite good. It's all the creative. It's a bit like being in Ravenclaw. It's all like creative and a bit, sensitive and...
Reading a book in the attic.
Yeah, exactly.
Seems to be the sort of vibe.
Very that. But I am also Ravenclaw, according to my...
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, it all tracks.
I got a phone call from my partner yesterday. I am upstairs in the house, and Kath always calls me. She never like shouts up the stairs. She just phones me up. That's the modern world. And perhaps a little insight into the size of our house. Nevertheless, she said to me...
Karma crib.
She said to me, there's a rook eating a pigeon in the garden. Can you sort it out? And...
It's very vague.
You're living in a Jane Austen novel.
First of all, I thought to honestly, my first thought, I didn't say it to her because you got to be careful. But she says, I thought, you've gone rook with this.
Oh.
As see, I would go crow. If it was my default large black bird, it would be crow. But she'd gone rook, which I thought was like the next stage, really.
The bird hipster.
Well, I would never think rook. What next, raven? Is that what I've got to expect?
I love that she went rook.
Rook, yeah.
Anyway, it was a corvid. We established that. It was one of the corvid family.
Right.
So I went down, and sure enough, this big... I'll stick with rook. This rook was... I don't know whether they kill pigeons or not, or whether it got lucky.
Oh, they'll do anything.
Yeah.
Horrible, horrible people.
So it was eating this pigeon, and I went out rescue was a bit late for rescue.
Yeah.
But basically, there was a lot of feathers come off it. I didn't want them on our lawn.
Huh.
So I took the pigeon. I just thought, I don't want to touch the meaty bit.
Had it met its maker at this stage?
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yeah, it was an ex-pigeon, as I believe, the Monty Python. So I took it by its cold, bony little hand.
Charlton Heston.
as if I was leading an old lady across the road. And I just slung it over the fence at the end.
What? Into a neighbour's garden?
Not into a neighbour's garden.
Oh, I know the area you mean. Yes,
there.
into the land.
I can't see over the fence. So I think if you throw anything over a fence that you can't see over, it no longer exists. I think that's the philosophical...
Yeah, Plato's cave filled with dead pigeons.
All the time I was doing it, this corvid was in the tree, going absolutely spare.
What was it doing?
Like that at me.
You were nicking its dinner.
Well, you know when you're in a restaurant and they take your plate you hadn't finished. It was like that. It was absolute crow rage.
Do you know, I don't like them.
No?
I've never got along with crows.
I like their sinister appearance. I always
know what
like
I hate,
goths. I
Frank?
like goths, and they are the avian goths.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I went to Abbey Road Studios the other night.
Oh, yeah? Recording some demos?
How was
No, I wasn't recording.
it? What were you up to?
I was in the audience for a live performance of music from Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Wonderful film, may I say.
Which, incidentally, it was conducted by Alexandre Desplat.
How are you finding these pronunciations this morning?
I was interested in the rendition of Guillermo.
So was I.
Just
Can we get a burst of that again?
I struggled with it all night.
All night.
Guillermo del Toro.
Did you say
Something
over with
happens.
him or something?
Something happens. I'll tell you what I did. I made the mistake. I went past the second sentence. You know when you meet someone,
Did you
some
meet Guillermo?
celebrity? Yes.
Shut up.
But when you meet somebody like
Guillermo.
you just have the second sentence and then that you're done. So he'd done a talk and he was very impressive bloke. And he was talking. It was like he had like a sort of philosophy of life. And anyway, so I said to him after I was introduced, and my mate said, "This is Frank Skinner." He said, "Hello, Frank. How are you?" And I said, "I really enjoyed that. I thought you did. Said some really interesting stuff." He said, "It really matters to me, that stuff about collaboration, about it being a team, about and we were like a family working on it." What I didn't say, is that why you've called it Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio? I didn't say that. And then I said, "Oh, yeah, and I like that thing." And then he said, hello, and it was one of those moments when I'd got on to the third sentence.
You'd overstayed it.
Yeah. But he seemed a very nice bloke.
Just out of interest, did you give him any advice, Frank? Because I know
didn't.
you've got previous here.
Well, one of the hashtag orcs was, I think I was the only person in the room who hadn't seen Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
And it is phenomenal, may I say.
I'd love to, and I've tried to see it. My family won't let me.
Why not?
Because my son says, I don't want to watch that. I want to watch Kiss live again.
Oh, okay.
Or some Def Leppard. So I end up not watching it.
Can you not watch things on your own?
And I don't know when. When? That's someone who... yes. What do you put it? Who forgot to have children? No, you don't get that. There's no time off.
Oh.
So I haven't been allowed to watch it.
Okay.
I could perhaps do it tonight on my birthday.
I was going to say, give yourself a little treat, a little me time.
You've got a license now.
I'm
thought
lining
you
up
had-
a Western for tonight.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder what St. Thomas
not?
Aquinas will be watching at his house. Something on Catholic theology. Or with the family going, "Oh, Tom, have a day off, mate."
Just The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Just something to thrill him in his old age.
Anyway, yeah, so Alexandre Desplat, he decided early on.
Sounds like the sort of name that you'd give a French character in a kind of crude play.
Well, he looked like Mr. Burns. He really looked like Mr. Burns, and it was Burns night. But no one mentioned that either. Anyway,
I'm really surprised.
it was his decision.
Excuse me, it's Burns night and you look like Mr. Burns.
No, I meant questions about the music. Oh, sorry. Yes.
Before we
I'll
start
sit down.
by listening to Guillermo del Toro's music,
Who
I
is
would
that
like-
guy? Who is that terrible guy who said I looked like Mr. Burns?
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
You had any Doctor Who gifts today?
Well, I haven't. I didn't get any gifts until I got here.
Oh.
And so you've seen my gifts. I will discuss them shortly. I feel I better tell you what Alexandre Desplat said about it.
Is this the one who looked like Mr. Burns?
It certainly was, yes. And he said that he wanted the music he wrote, he wanted to be all wooden instruments, like woodwinds, piano, violins, because it's Pinocchio who's made of wood. So that was his thing. And I said to someone, well, in that case, they shouldn't have had strings. Nothing.
Oh, you're
Nothing.
kidding.
Yeah,
Really?
Nothing. I mean, when am I going to get to use that joke again unless I do it on air in retrospect?
You should have stood up and...
I should have had
Kicked
so
off.
much material. Well, how come it's called Guillermo del Toro's? It's Burns night and you look like... It was all there. I could have been the star of the night. But no.
I mean, that's quite a takeaway, Frank. I could have been the star of the night.
Exactly. So Guillermo, he hogged all the attention. And there was a lovely bit when a boy got up.
A wooden boy?
There was a boy.
A wooden boy.
Did he have a long nose or a little hat with a feather in or something?
It wasn't him. He was there. The voice...
I have a little friend called Jiminy.
The voice of Pinocchio was there.
Ah.
I spoke to him, and
Is he a boy?
he's a boy, and after about 20 seconds, I could tell he was thinking, who's this weirdo? Because I went on and on about him being ginger, because I've got such a thing, because my son's ginger.
What did you say?
Ginger's doing well. I said, it's great, Ginger's like you doing well.
You didn't.
And he's like an actor boy. And he's like looking at me. I said, it's brilliant. I said, I'll show you. I said to his mum, I'll show you a picture of my...
Rupert Grint or something.
I'll show you a picture of my son. He's ginger. I mean, what's the matter with me?
You didn't say... It's
You were
great.
starstruck. It was Pinocchio.
He said,
I hadn't even seen the puppet version of him. Anyway, and it wasn't him who sang.
Frank, you can't just go up and say, it's great, you ginger's doing well. It's a strange
I thought
comment
you
to
could.
make.
I thought you could.
You should have just congratulated him on becoming a real boy.
Yes, exactly.
Asked him how he was finding it. Second sentence.
That would have been great.
I like that he felt compelled to call his parents over. He probably has...
No, his mum was with him, I think, as some sort of chaperone.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, a boy got up and sang. There's a song in the film. You have seen the film.
Oh, I love the film. There is a song.
I'm very wary of a song in a film. When the soundtrack suddenly... I mean, I watch a lot of westerns and they love it in a western.
Do they? Where do they have a song?
Then he rode on a saddle into the blazing sun. That was just, you think, who's doing that?
Yeah.
It did throw up one of the great rhymes of all time, which is from High Noon, which has the song going through it, where the rhyme is, he made a vow while in state prison, it's gonna be my life or his'n. Bravo! I heard the bloke shout bravo the other night, sort of unironically, at the opera. I love it.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I felt a bit intimidated at the Guillermo del Toro thing because...
Can I just ask, did you insist on pronouncing his name like that all
I don't know how to pronounce his name still.
Pierre?
Guillermo.
I would have said that.
Guillermo. What happens at the ear? Where is that going? L sound or R?
Rolled R to an L.
Rolled R?
Guillermo.
Didn't he do
Pierre
that?
does that so beautifully.
Guillermo.
No.
Oh, anyway. Del
Lovely,
Toro.
Pierre.
Also, that thing of having a small letter on the Del. Come on. What about your monogram dressing gown?
You're all right
It's
with
going to
Del
look a
Monte.
mess.
You didn't mind Del Monte.
No, but he was just so positive, that bloke. Whereas Dr. No, he just dragged me down, that bloke.
Go on.
So because there were people who were very passionate about film music. Now, there's a certain breed. I didn't meet any of them until I moved to London and travelled in more hoity-toity circles. Everyone I knew you couldn't have. They would have known that song from High Noon, but the incidental music, I never listened to that stuff. But people who know about film music, whenever they talk to me about it, I always feel they're saying that I've noticed something that you haven't noticed. You know what I mean?
Well, to be fair, they are, really.
Well, they are saying exactly that. But you can see it in their faces. Oh yeah, I love the soundtrack of Guillermo del Toro's what's it called, The Shape of Water or something.
Yes, yeah.
That which was also. Alexandre Desplat, actually. Desplat, he called himself for that one.
Oh, come on.
Anyway, it's a bit like I've been watching football now for over 50 years. Mm-hmm. I still have little more than a wispy idea of tactics and all that stuff. And I have been at matches where people have said things. I'll give you an example. They're getting us on the second phase pickup every time. I don't want to hear that stuff.
No.
I just want to watch the ball being kicked about. I don't want to know about three at the back and all that. Most football fans have no idea about it and they're perfectly happy.
I think if you want that sort of talk, you stick to American football.
I just don't. Well, I hate that, and I don't want that kind of talk.
No.
I mean, it's film music talk. It's I spotted something you haven't spotted. I don't want to spot it.
The other thing with if you're specialising in film music is you're saying I've spotted something you haven't spotted, and it's my passion.
Yes.
There's so much you haven't spotted that I've dedicated my life or spare time to noticing it above what you've noticed.
When I went to the cinema as a youth, it used to be that thing, as soon as the film ended, these really crinkly curtains would close, so you couldn't read any credits at all. Because everyone thought, we haven't come here to read, we've come here to watch a film. Honestly, hoity-toity.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner at MBE on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novelli. And you can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. Them's your options. Let's try this. Someone sent us. Who sent us this jingle, Sarah?
Stuart White.
Stuart White?
Yes.
Sent us this. I thought there'd be a man with a bugle pen would turn up. This is Frank Skinner, MBE, on Absolute Radio. So that's my celebratory fanfare. I like a fanfare.
Yeah.
I like the things that hang from the bugles.
Pennants.
I think you should put that little...
Some look like pennants, some are sturdy. They look like proper wall hangings, medieval wall hangings.
Yes, I know the ones you
Mini
mean.
tapestries.
Yeah.
They unfurl. I think you should have that as your voicemail. Leave that as your message.
No one ever calls. I can't remember the last time I actually got a voicemail message.
What was the last voice message you had? I find it weird when people say, I left you a voice message.
Well, my manager leaves voice messages that say, "Ranks John," and that's it.
I like that.
That's quite frightening.
He's not a man who gives you any inkling of what it's going to be. Good news
He's
or
a man
bad
of
news.
action, not words.
I think he's actually from Acton. Man of Acton. No, forget it.
Can I read
What
this?
else?
Frank?
What else is going on?
Well, firstly, I'd like to apologise to my colleagues. I made up one eye during the last break, and it's all gone a bit Clockwork Orange, I'm afraid.
You made up one eye?
Yeah, I've only got mascara on one eye.
Oh, I thought it was something we'd discussed and that you'd made up and the eyes have it, and it turned out there was a fixed vote. You'd made up one eye.
No.
And in fact, it was a draw.
I put mascara on one eye, so
Yeah.
I've gone Clockwork Orange.
Nice.
I do apologise. Joe from Essex has been in touch. Joe Essex.
Joe with an E or with an no E?
J-O.
So we're thinking probably...
Joey Essex. Might be the formal version, Joe from Essex. Hi, Frank and team. delighted to hear Frank mention persimmon fruit, aka Sharon fruit, at the end of last week's show.
Because they would prefer Sharon fruit in Essex.
We've got to rebrand this.
Oh, it's all right when you do it, isn't it? It's all right when you lot are manner.
It's integration.
Oh, lovely.
When I do it.
I too would pass over cake in their favour. I recently sent my friend a rather boastful message about my love of the fruit after Sainsbury's informed me via their app that I was the #1 buyer of Sharon fruit in the east of England.
Wow, that's really quite... Hold on, I haven't got a fanfare for that.
You've got to give it something.
Oh, no, I have. This is for you. What was it again?
So this is Joe from Essex, the #1 buyer of Sharon fruit in the east of England.
What? I got 3 packets this week, 4 in each packet.
Wow.
Really?
So I get through quite a lot of...
Joe?
I'm sticking with persimmon.
You're coming for her title.
Joe continues, nobody has bought more than me in 2022 in the east of England. Nobody.
All right, we get that, Joe. We understand the title.
All right, from the desk of Frank Skinner, MBE.
Nobody underlined.
I worked hard for that title and I don't regret it. So imagine my surprise when
Hold on, I haven't finished imagining it. Okay, I've got it.
So this is, just to remind you, Joe had sent a friend this boastful message about the love of the fruit. So imagine my surprise when the friend swiftly replied that he was the #2 buyer of vintage Gouda in England. Do you say Gouda or
Gouda?
Gouda?
You mean the Dutch cheese?
Yeah, I never know how to pronounce it. Gouda?
Gouda, yeah.
He'll know the Dutch. Gouda?
It's definitely Gouda. Oh, we don't want any of that. Huemo.
Yes, well, Gouda del Toro.
Gouda del Toro.
Gouda del
It's
Toro.
definitely Gouda, isn't it?
I trust you, Frank, but I'm just saying. He was the #2 buyer of vintage Gouda in England.
Okay.
My question, does my first-rate regional fruit success eclipse his nationwide second-rate dairy-based glory? I welcome your thoughts on this matter. Happiest of birthdays to Frank, Joe from Essex. And Joe from Essex has sent us the Sharon fruit proof here.
No, I wasn't doubting it.
The proof.
From
The
Sainsbury's.
rubbish brag to make up.
The proof is in the Sharon fruit, is not as good as sentences.
The vintage
This is the old debate, isn't it? Local versus national. I mean, it's all a bit Andy Burnham, this conversation, but we'll come back to it and we'll find something.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We were discussing Joe from Essex's debate whether it is better to be second in Essex at buying persimmons, or no, first in Essex at buying persimmon.
Is it persimmon or persimmon?
Oh, I don't know.
Persimmon.
I think it's Guillermo. Anyway, those orange things.
It's always better to ask. I've decided.
I think it's is it better to be first in Essex or second nationally? Now, my view on this, Joe, is that to be first in Essex with all its shell-suitery, to be first there in buying persimmon, that's really that. You sound like a cultural island, and I respect you for that. Whereas once you go national, you bring in, London and York.
I love the way you say London. It's like contempt.
Well, you're going to bring in like vintage Gouda. You're going to bring in Simon Sebag Montefiore.
You're competing against the real titans.
Michael Heseltine. All those guys, they're bumping up the...
You've got your Gales patrons.
Yeah, so I think in the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. That's what I'd say to you, Joe.
I think it's more noble to specialise in persimmons than to just enjoy
So is
some
this
cheese like everyone else.
I know, but vintage Gouda.
Yeah.
We're not just talking Gouda.
No.
This sounds like Absolute Radio 1384. Talking about persimmons and the country of the blind.
I don't know if they'd reached here then. Where do they grow?
What, persimmons?
I instinctively looked at Pierre. I thought he'd know where persimmon come from.
I'm going to guess the Far East, but I've got no clue, to be honest.
No, you always guess the Far East.
Strange long-running row to have with a friend. You always guess the Far East. That really upsets me about you.
That's always your default.
Oh, do you know what happened to me last week? Well, I'll tell you. I went to the hairdressers. As I was leaving the square...
What happened? Was it closed?
I've never been so... Actually, I have. I was leaving the square, as we call it.
Oh, yeah, a square.
This is our square. And Pierre said to me, I quite liked it. A little bit cheeky. I quite liked it, Frank. He's growing in his cheekiness. I said, I'm just going to the hairdressers, Pierre. He said, I imagine that's going to take most of the day or something.
Okay.
I said, will it take most of the day?
Oh,
'Cause
he asked first.
I've learned that
I thought you were
ladies'
gonna
hair
say
takes the whole
he
day.
went with you, went with me to Liberties, you to the thing. He's become a sort of like our personal shopper.
Yes.
I could sit in the hairdressers reading a folded up paper.
He's like
one leg over the
He's
other.
my faithful companion. He's like my companion. He's my demon. So I went to the hairdressers. Fabulous. They always do a fabulous job. Very pleased as ever. Thanks for noticing. And as I got home, put my hand in my coat pocket, pulled out a set of car keys I didn't recognise, a house key I didn't recognise, and a boarding pass for a flight to Philadelphia.
Ooh.
Business class.
When you answered the phone that morning, did you say make me a winner? That sounds like Wix prizes to me from our breakfast show.
I'd been given the wrong coat.
Oh, the wrong coat.
It was the wrong coat.
Wallace and Gromit sequel, number 7.
That's who's number one buying that vintage Gouda.
Yeah. The wrong vintage Gouda wouldn't have brought in the people, would it? That'd be people. Is it Gouda or is it Gouda? Let's call the whole thing off. What about vintage being the biggest buyer of vintage gaydar who listened to the old radio station?
That'll be me, clearly.
Oh, anyway.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
We're having so many. I want to acknowledge, attention must be paid, that we're getting so many lovely birthday messages.
That's great. I'll
Thanks,
come and have a
Neil.
look at them after. That's very lovely.
Yes.
I can't actually see any messages that come in. They all come through Emily and Pierre, because if I see anything negative, I go into the fetal position and sop my thumb. And tiny bits of blood come out my ears. So I live in a sort of cloud cuckoo land thinking everybody loves me.
Well, luckily for you today, the messages are the sort of... What I'm looking at is a sort of tableau you'd expect for a sort of a very frightening Soviet leader.
Oh.
the level of adoration.
I'll settle
and
for that.
congratulation is extensive. So.
So maybe I'll do a speech from the balcony here.
Tedley Manor has been in touch. I watch your wonderful show in chunks before bed. Oh, which show would that
I
be,
don't know.
Frank? I had a dream.
It's all gone a bit Martin Luther King.
I was going to say, though, it's a bold opener.
Yeah.
I had a dream that Frank co-headlined Wembley with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I had terrible sleep, but Frank was awesome. Make it happen. How do you feel about that, Frank?
What was I doing? Stand-up or contemporary dance?
I sincerely hope it was the former.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never really got into the chilies. I don't know. People have condemned me for that when I've spoken to them about music. But that wouldn't stop me. I haven't done much support work. I supported many years ago in the early days of my career. I supported Lloyd Cole and the Commotions at the Wakefield Opera House.
Extraordinary.
How was that?
It went very well, actually.
Oh, okay.
Though I say so as shouldn't.
Frank, I do need to share something with you, which is some correspondence we've had.
Before you go into this, I understand this is something we should clear up, that there's been some vintage Gouda news, because there was some debate about how we pronounce it. And shall we just clear that up technically?
Gouda for the Yanks, Gouda for everyone else.
Can you say the Yanks?
Pierre, it seems like Pierre has some special, diplomatic immunity from all of this.
Lethal Weapon 2.
Because he has a leg in so many kingdoms.
Okay. Well, I'm going to a big leg as well.
What is a big leg?
Pierre Novelli's Big Leggy. That's what I sang before the Chili's came on.
Just so you know, Pierre, that was a song by a group called Hazy Fantasy he's making reference to in was it the 80s, Frank?
It was called John Wayne, his Big Leggy.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
He wasn't saying something...
No.
weird.
So Americans say Gouda.
Apparently
and
so.
we say Gouda. Okay. I went out with a California girl.
Oh, yeah?
And
do you wish they could all be California girls?
Well... The East Coast girls, so I really like the clothes they wear.
How do you find the West Coast girls?
Do they make me scream and shout? Are they the ones? They turn me on when I'm down there. Yeah,
That's Frank.
I don't know what. Well, that's what he says. I haven't been turned on since the 80s.
Don't say they turned me on down there. It's
I think
horrible.
I've been on standby for over 30 years. Anyway.
Don't say that either.
Yes, I thought I knew all the Americanisms from watching, films, reading comic books. And then this woman said, I'll put some, do you want me to put some herbs on that? And I said, she said herbs. And they don't do the H in herbs.
Yeah.
Now, I've dropped a few H's in my time, but herb is not that herb. Yeah. You want an herb? Get off me. That's what I said, I think. Only temporarily.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Can I tell you something I hate? Good. Whenever I'm watching TV, just quite frequently, and someone mispronounces something, and they try and sort of cover it up and deal with it by saying, sorry, put my false teeth back in.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can't bear that. Why say that? Everyone else says it. We've heard it before.
Also,
we know you don't have false teeth because no one has them because it's not 1951.
Yeah, well, when I was growing up, everybody had them over 30. Literally, people would just have them all whipped out.
People would put them in a glass of water, is that right?
At the side of the bed with a Sterident soluble tablet.
did they-
Wake up in the morning, your teeth's clean.
Yeah.
But imagine if you swiped on Tinder and then you woke up and there was a false teeth next. I mean, how did people procreate?
I think, it's got its pluses and minuses. Nevertheless, how did we get onto this?
Sorry, I just suddenly thought of it.
Well, I put the telly on lunchtime this week. I was having a cheese and Brussels sprout sandwich. And
Why?
it looks like why? It's really nice because
It's a sort of snack you'd see in the Beano.
they
It's extraordinary.
it's not a nice looking snack. It looks like a rabbit's back when they got the myxomatosis.
How do you present the sprout? Do you slice it?
No, I don't slice it. So the secret is you slice
Secret?
cheese and then you put the sprout. They sit on the cheese as if they were skiing.
Yes.
And then you put the top on and the hot sprout
Gets mushed up. Does it get crushed?
Yeah, no, it's so the sprout melts the cheese and the butter. It's a beautiful, squidgy, sprouty, cheesy thing.
Do you press the upper layer of bread down to create this sort of...
Yeah.
I was going to say.
You bet I do.
Yeah.
You bet your sweet bippy.
Frank, but haven't you got 2 raised Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom style balls?
Well, not 2.
On the bread?
I get about half a dozen on a sandwich.
I was envisaging a sort of phalanx of 9 of them.
Yeah.
Like a telephone.
Yeah,
pad.
that's they are. That's what they
Well,
look
it's sort
like.
of stone lions holding up a coffee table is how I'm envisioning.
Well, but you do squidgy. It squidgies more than you think. I mean, you're thinking of a raw sprout.
I try not to think of them at all.
A boiled sprout's got a bit of give in it. Anyway, I put the telly on. It was On the Buses. Remember, On the Buses, popular. It had the warning on the front.
What did it say?
Yeah, it said On the Buses actually wasn't that funny. It said at the beginning. And lo and behold, it wasn't. But very early on, this is a reference back to last week's show, the inspector, Blakey, said, oh God. He said, I think Jack's trying to take a diabolical liberty with my niece. And I told you, everybody said diabolical liberty when I was a kid. It's gone now. Gone, but not forgotten.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, I'm getting still a bit bothered by your incident with the crow. I just think that could be a quite traumatic thing to witness.
Well, it could have been a rook or a raven.
What did it do, the crow? Did it fly off? Did it give up in the
Well,
end?
obviously, when I went out, in
Just in
case you
case anyone's
missed
just
earlier,
tuning in.
there was I was called to deal with an incident in my garden.
The most self-important thing you've ever said. I was called to deal with an
Well, my
You're
partner
an ambulance driver.
phoned me, even though she was in the same house, and said, "There's a rook eating a pigeon in the garden. Can you deal with it? Or can you sort it out?"
Yes,
she said.
as though you could negotiate.
Yeah. So I went and threw the pigeon over the garden fence.
When you threw the pigeon carcass, did you do
One
a sort
last
of...
flight.
Yes. But did you do a sort of discus sort of full spin?
No, I didn't like throwing the hammer.
Yes,
I
the
didn't.
hammer.
I didn't draw myself a mock circle in the thing and go round and
You
round.
see, Pierre, he's so, with his safari experience, and he's been out there, he's so comfortable with the circle of life. The
Yeah.
way he just casually tossed in with the pigeon carcass.
Well, I was with a friend once and his family in Kew Gardens, and his son said, "Can we play pirates?" And he said, "Yeah, you go off and play
What
pirates."
kind?
And then, what do you mean?
Well, okay, continue.
And then he came back and he had a dead parrot, which he'd found. Which was, very convenient for piratry.
Oh, yeah.
But it was of an age where we couldn't really explain death to him. So I took the parrot and placed it in the tree as if I wedged it in a hole in the tree as if I was putting it into some little nest there.
Like you're trying to prop it up.
Yeah, I'm very good with the bird dispersal.
Yes, that's
Generally.
No, I can see why I've called you now.
Exactly.
To deal with an incident.
But, so...
The thing about crows, Jeremy Paxman once told
You're
me...
saying crow. My partner insisted it was a rook.
I'll discuss this with her later. Let's say it was a rook. They're similar, aren't they? They're similar personalities.
I think
Jeremy
it was a rook
Paxman-
because it was only moving in straight lines, forward, backwards and sideways. Oh, goodness.
I'm so happy with that. Jeremy Paxman told me they have memories, crows, and they remember human beings. So I'm
So
just
me
saying,
throwing the pigeon away.
they don't forget a face.
You made an enemy.
They will come back for you, Frank. They will find
no.
you. And I don't want to say what's going to happen next.
I don't think. I think I could handle one of them if it came to... I'm a sort of Corvid skeptic.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
By the way, do you recall that my partner Kath and I did a documentary for Absolute about Kate Bush?
I do.
I can honestly say I haven't had one word of feedback about it.
Okay.
I'd like to know if anyone listened, liked.
It's quite an odd thing to say, darling.
Well, it's because my partner was on. It was one of my few dips into what I think is a fairly sordid pool of people getting their wives, kids, me and my son going. Everyone
like that?
People just dragging in their non-celebrity family and making TV shows.
Why don't you like it?
I think it's sort of watering the Ribena a bit too much, if you know what I mean. So there's not enough celebrity in the pint glass.
Is there also an element of you that thinks, look, I've done the clubs, I've done all my hard work.
Yeah. Well,
Why shouldn't you come along at the end of the story?
Exactly. Build your own ladder. That's what I think. Never asked me to take them to work when I worked in a drop forgings. No. Hello again. This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novelli. You can text the show at 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
I love Frank resenting people who bring their family into their celebrity.
It's just a weird. What are people up to? It's like footballers taking their kids and their wives on the pitch. What's going on?
Do you think it's a bit thirsty?
I won't watch anything where someone have brought a family member to a TV show.
What about the royal family?
Well, they're all there in their own right. There's blood. There's blood there.
They're all in the club.
So I won't watch anything.
For my sovereign, I would go to the cannon's mouth. But,
you've changed.
That's actually a quote from Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. But no, I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't like it. There's something... you brought your kid with you. A bit embarrassing. Where are they going to sit? Okay. Anyway, what else?
Oh, I love you. On the subject of things I can't stand... I mean, I was going to say what's that in reference to, but that's generally all we talk about.
Yeah.
It's crept into news and sports programmes over the last few years. It's the phrase, "will keep you across that story."
Oh, yeah.
I imagine researchers lounging across desks, mobile phone in hand, shouting and generally being a pain. What's wrong with "will keep you updated"? That'd be a nice friend for you, Ian Borrett from Winchester.
I'm all right with that. I don't mind a bit of variety. Don't keep saying updated forever. I think keeping across a story it feels like an Americanism, but I don't care.
Adding words where words may not be needed.
Now, this is extraordinarily exciting news.
Okay.
Yes.
Because we have heard from the Liberty Lady. You and Pierre went into Liberty's a couple of weeks ago.
With a mission.
Pierre?
Yeah.
And you bought a hat. Do you recall?
I bought a hat and some sunglasses.
So that's one of those parlour games.
Yeah.
I bought a hat and some sunglasses and an apple.
No, I'm going into international terrorism and I just hadn't got the outfit.
Miss Carla Burrell has got in touch.
Oh, yes. Good name.
And she says, I am the Liberty Lady.
Well, the one who I asked if she had the same respect for a
voucher holder.
Voucher holder as someone who'd gone in there because they wanted to actually go in the shop by choice, rather than being forced in there by a friend.
Miss Carla Burrell continues. Frank looks wonderful in the hat I sold him.
Oh.
I like I sold him.
Yeah.
She was lovely, actually, Carla.
That's
what I call her.
Calm down, dear. So lovely to meet you the other day, Frank. Oh, I really like her. It was a very fun moment in a busy day.
I think Frank looks wonderful in the hat I sold him.
Yes.
is a sentence that reveals its motivation as it ends.
I love it. It's quite proprietorial as well, which I enjoy.
I like it though. She was very nice, and I like hearing from someone from an anecdote. It's an interesting story. In fact, I've just had a text from a rook who says that I stole his pigeon. No, I haven't. That I made up.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Do you remember last week? Only last week. Frank?
Oh, vaguely.
Okay, that's all for now. No.
Okay.
Do you remember last week? I was quite intrigued to know what old-fashioned sunglasses look like.
Oh, how early they came about and all that we talked about. And then we had a fabulous revelation about the Emperor Nero.
And his emerald looking glass
in
the arena.
So he would watch, he would sit in, let's say, the Colosseum.
Row G or...
Yeah, watch...
thereabouts.
I hope you get a better seat than that.
A director's box.
Yeah.
Maybe off to the side, like at Wembley or something.
Yes, yeah.
Perhaps with a little hospitality area, or Cafe Nero, as he called it. And then... if it was sunny...
I prefer Cafe Aristotle.
If you ever been to that Cafe Claudius?
Oh, that's,
So anyway, if it was sunny, he would take out a specially cut emerald and watch the games through that, through green tinted gemstone.
Well, we've heard further on this, haven't we? And perhaps I feel this is Pierre's area, just because it involves, it involves big brains
and objects of antiquity. I'd like to think that that's my area. Dear Frank and team,
where are you on the vintage Gouda league table?
If it's not been unearthed from a barrow.
Yeah.
I've got no time for it.
Okay, of course you like it that vintage.
Yes. Yeah. Dear Frank and team, which I quite like as a sort of Frankenstein.
Yes, Frank and team is great.
That's whose job it is to sort of maintain the monster and sew bits back on, the Frank and team. Sort of pit stop aspects.
We certainly maintain the monster.
With Igor in some sort of administrative role.
Yes, clipboard.
In the team.
Yeah. Like Formula One.
Yeah, exactly.
The Frank and team. Quick, sewing on a new leg or whatever. Dear Frank and team, further to last week's droll banter on the topic of emerald sun specks.
I love this person.
Damning phrasing from Mark. Further to last week's droll banter on the topic of emerald sun specks. I thought the following link to a Sotheby's sale might interest you.
I told you we shouldn't have had Noel Coward as a guest last week.
It's like the woman in the WC fields who says to her husband, if you and your friend want to continue sharing ribald stories. Anyway, back to Mark and the droll banter.
Yes. Mark informs us of a Sotheby's sale, maybe for the next voucher. It is a pair of Mughal spectacles set with emerald lenses in diamond-mounted frames from circa 17th century India, frames 19th century, so there's been some work done.
Oh.
So it's a pair of solid emerald lenses.
I'm not ready to talk about that yet.
A pair of solid emerald lenses set in gold and diamond frames, and for a 17th century Mughal ruler, and he had a reading pair cut too. From a single 200-carat diamond.
What is a Mughal rune?
Mughal?
Yeah.
You'd say. I noticed you soften the G slightly.
Mughal, yeah. There's a little H after it.
I don't know what it is.
Well, what is it?
The Mughal Empire was a sort of northern Indian empire. It started in, I think, Kashmir or Uzbekistan and then moved into northern India in the 1600s.
I love this.
There's a Lee Harwood poem in which he talks about a Mughal miniature, which is a small, ornate sort of piece of writing.
Okay.
Oh, like a little bit of calligraphy.
No, it'd be like almost like it could be a book. Could just.
All
be
right, you two swallowed a dictionary this morning, have you?
Yeah.
With your
You
droll
asked.
banter. I
Anyway,
did
you
ask,
asked.
and I'm genuinely fascinated. I love this.
Anyway, Mark says, by way of summing up, serious bling.
Yeah, it's. I'd like to see, even though I wouldn't actually buy it, I don't think, but I would like to see because
Okay.
they did like. They liked their finery.
They looked very Elton John,
Yeah.
I feel. Sort of thing he would have gone for.
Oh yeah.
Okay, with a shell suit.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I was just talking about how I can't stand it when celebrities bring their families involved in things, and then my family arrived,
Yes.
and they're now
Furious.
sitting in the adjoining room, looking at me as if I was a moray eel in an aquarium. There, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Move on.
Well,
I haven't said what my birthday present was, by the way. Can I say I have a gold-backed bird? I don't know what species would we think
Kath
that
will
was.
know because she knows her rooks from her crows.
Yeah, Kath might identify that as a rook. It's got too much white on it.
What would you say, Pierre? You know about facts.
Anyway, what you do with it before Pierre comes in, you press its head down and a tray opens with toothpicks in, and the bird hands me a toothpick, or beaks me a toothpick.
Yes.
It's a brilliant present. That's present number one.
Okay.
I'll filter them through the next
Oh, how
however
kind.
long, just to get you posting.
Louisa in North Somerset, who describes herself as a regular reader, occasional emailer. Aren't we all there?
Yeah.
Morning, Frank, Emily and Pierre. I just wanted to join the many readers who are wishing Frank a very happy birthday.
Lovely.
You mentioned that Frank is an Aquarian. I'm also an Aquarian. My father once bought me a bookmark that read, "The Aquarian is inventive, original and highly unconventional. Don't let this person borrow money. Best wishes, Louisa in North Somerset."
Wow.
Bit of a sting in the tail.
They could have made that more of a compliment sandwich, couldn't they?
Well, also,
Rather than suddenly dropping that in at
it's a
the
bit
end.
of a non sequitur as well. It's all these lovely things, and then they end with a slightly troubling warning.
I was scoffing a fortune cookie as part of my Chinese Lunar New Year celebrations.
Of course.
And it said that I was excited to read my fortune. It said, "Be more cautious with your financial arrangements."
Really?
And I thought, who writes these?
The bank. It's got the-
And I realised I'd picked up a bank statement from, I can't speak, where's me false teeth?
But that bookmark reads like the person who is an Aquarius was in the room and left just before the final sentence.
Yeah.
Very inventive, original, really. Don't lend them the money.
Mate, get that bit down about the money.
It's an aside on a bookmark.
Yes, yeah. Very Shakespearean.
So anyway, we haven't talked about anything that's happening in the modern world. We just talked about me. I would say it's fair to say it's not happening in the modern world.
No.
Well, we have got a story that you can relate to, which I think we should discuss.
Okay.
I appreciate there are commitments we need to make. With breaks and some music.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. But it's really gone. My family arriving has utterly thrown
Has
me.
it thrown you, dear?
Yeah, well, they're looking at me from the other side. And as I've said to you, I don't look at any text because I like to think everything I say is funny. Seems that is not the case.
What, do you think they're not laughing
No, I
enough?
haven't seen them laugh at all yet. Only with scorn.
Oh, for God's sake.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
What about when you just complained about your family who are here not laughing enough through the glass? It's quite...
Well, I think at any kind of family gathering, I always go
Do
away
you?
and think, well, that didn't go that well.
Do you? What, even like a lunch or something? Like,
If I get in a lift for 2 floors with a group of strangers and don't get one laugh, I feel like maybe this is the beginning of the end.
You're
It's an illness.
You're eternally gigging.
I am really.
What were you saying about Frankenstein maintaining the monster?
Well, speaking of which, I had a dream this week. Now, I don't know. I know Emily doesn't like people talking about their dreams, but I had
It's
a
worse
dream,
than hearing their problems.
and I was in a dark house, and I was at the top of the stairs. There was like a scary-looking figure, and when I got up there, it was Dracula. And when I woke up, I thought, Dracula! Is that the best? Honestly, the best my subconscious can do. The most root one, dark, threatening figure you could have in a dream.
If I was genuinely lost in a terrifying house and saw a sort of a shadowy figure, and then they moved into the light, and it was Dracula, I would laugh in Dracula's face. I was frightened, but it's just Dracula.
I was a little bit ashamed of myself. I thought I'm a creative. That's how I describe myself, and this is what I come up with.
That is embarrassing.
The Dracula in your dream. Can I ask which Dracula? Because there are obviously various kinds.
It.
There's the cartoon Dracula. Please, God, it wasn't that.
Was it Nosferatu, or was it very much a sort of Halloween costume on the internet?
Or was it Count Dracula?
Yes.
It was very much Ray Reardon Dracula. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what that means? Yeah. He was a snooker player. I mean, black hair pointed back with a widow's peak.
Operatic.
And a cloak and all that.
Wow.
Did the hair look like it was dyed with the shade Claire One Raven?
Yes.
Okay.
But it wasn't like that Gary Oldman Dracula, and it wasn't an unusual...
No, classic Dracula.
It was Dracula, as you say, you'd go to a fancy dress party.
Yes. My God, you're Smithy's Dracula.
It was absolute rubbish, Route 1, default Dracula nightmare figure.
What was he up to?
He was just standing there. I think when I saw him, I was so dismayed. I wouldn't have been bothered if he'd killed me. I thought, if this is all I've got left in my imagination, take me, Dracula. So that was that.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I've got further questions regarding your Dracula dream.
Oh,
And
God.
other things I never thought I'd say.
I've laid myself bare. I've said I'm ashamed of the lack of inventiveness.
Okay, there's just a few other details I'd like to get straight.
Okay.
Did the
Diamante clasp? Yes.
Yes, okay.
That small sort of some MBE-like thing on a ribbon
Yes,
that he wears.
it sort of implies that he sort of won it in some kind of Transylvanian war.
I think it's part of his count paraphernalia.
It's
Count
also-
paraphernalia is a very good Italian cousin friend of his who comes over now.
Yeah, and a really cluttered house too.
Is the brooch?
Cluttered palazzo.
And he wears it in the middle. It's a sort of Tory MP brooch in a way, female MP brooch, but it's clasped in the middle. But it's the cloak I'd like to some extra detail on. Was it a sort of, was it satin?
Well, you're asking,
Was
it
it
was
nylon?
a dream, remember? And I didn't say, give us a twirl when I saw him.
Oh no, fashion's important.
It was
in dreams.
very shadowy up there at the top of the Imagine
Spooky stairs.
Yeah.
But were his hands in sort of...
Oh, look what
Look, I just want to know,
Yeah.
Milad,
Okay.
if the accused
I don't know if you've ever tried taking a screenshot of a dream. It will come, it will surely come.
I just want to know if his hands were in the sort of bleh position.
No, I don't think I'm not sure he knew I was there. I think
You were sneaking up on him.
Dracula was discovered at the top of the stairs. He was just hanging about up there. I don't know what he was doing.
Was he just going to the bathroom or something?
Yes, he'd forgotten why he'd gone upstairs.
Yeah, perhaps he lost his keys. He lost his attic
What
keys.
did I come up here for?
Oh, who's that?
Every
People
time.
are still dreaming about me?
I'm
Who is
flattered.
this loser?
You're a bit
That's
rude,
where
rude
his hands were. He was doing the L sign on his forehead.
Do you think he'd have his teeth fixed now, Dracula? That's the shame of it, you see. The vampires, you can't see them coming. They'd all get veneers these days.
Well, Guillermo del Toro said the reason he was drawn towards Pinocchio was that he was one of those figures, he said, and he listed them. I think he listed Batman, Frankenstein. I think that might have been it, and Pinocchio's. People, if you haven't read the book, you still know quite a bit about them.
Yes, yeah.
That's what he said.
And did he also say, and also some very Route 1 people dream about him?
Yeah,
as
he
well?
did. Oh, the thought wouldn't have crossed his creative mind that still went on.
He would have scoffed if you'd
He
pitched
probably
it.
only has collaborative dreams, which the art department give him ideas, stuff he can dream about. Oh, model. Oh, yes, okay. So, it's been a lovely birthday so far. Who would have think at 66 I'd still be this funny?
You didn't mention your other presents.
I didn't mention my other
We haven't got
present.
time.
Emily got me a
Thank you.
fabulous
That's what I
framed.
wanted.
One of the things was a framed photograph of Elvis Presley arriving at a road accident. Because he used to listen to police radio in Graceland, and then he had a police badge, so he'd turn up and inspect the crash scene. And lovely picture of him in a full-length leather jacket, just walking around in the dark.
Insane.
If only he'd been at the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thank you so much for listening. Thanks for all your lovely messages, by the way, on my birthday. That's very, very kind of you. All the best to St. Thomas Aquinas. I hope he has a great day. He was quite an eater.
Was he?
He was. Enormous. Anyway, if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.